Fritz here from beautiful Chagrin Falls, Ohio. Guys, I have some great content for you. I hope you had a great Memorial weekend. I hope you took some time to thank a soldier, because I'll tell you what, guys, we cannot take our freedoms cheaply. There was a lot that went into that, and I think we all should be very grateful. Enough said about that. Guys, what we're going to talk about today is maybe you feel like you're an underdog. Maybe you feel like there's no way you can win. Maybe you feel like the big guys are just too big and there's no room for you. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today, guys. And one of the things that's really cool is I'm going to throw some statistics in here. And you say, well, why throw in statistics? Guys, when you have statistics, it gives you something to gauge yourself by. And you know, one thing that's very interesting too, I found that when I have statistics or proof, you know, then it makes me feel a little bit better. It's not just somebody, you know, shooting the word here and you're not really sure if it's true or not. But guys, what I'm going to talk about today is some battle plans that actually happened over 200 years ago. And what we're going to talk about is how there were underdogs then and how there's underdogs today, and how you can win. How you can win at the game called life, how you can win at your business, how you can win in relationships. So this will help you all the way around, and it's going to be some good stuff. Okay, here's the thing. Here's where I want to start. 200 years ago, battles were going on just like they are today all over the world, and there was actually a lot of accounting in these battles. They were keeping track of who won, who lost, you know, all that kind of thing. And it wasn't until recently till a political scientist named Ivan Toft actually did some very unique studying about the wars. Now, I want you to picture this. Okay, you have a war here right now. You know, you have some troops, say 10,000 strong on one side. You have this huge, huge army that knows what they're doing. They're 10,000 strong. They're mighty. People are scared just by the sheer number. And then the other thing is, on the other side of the coin, you have this small army, and that's maybe 1/10 the size, maybe 1,000 people. Okay, now if I asked you, which army is going to win every time? Is it going to be the guy with the 10,000 soldiers, or is it going to be the guy with the 1,000 soldiers? Now, obviously, your common sense is trying to kick in here, and it's telling you that, well, Dave, you know what, obviously the army with 10,000 soldiers, just by their numbers, they're going to win every time. Now, guys, that's what I would have thought as well. But here's the truth behind the story. 71.5% of those battles were won by the bigger group, but that leaves 28.5% of the battles that the army, the small army of 1,000 people, actually won. Now, what we want to do in business is we want to think about this for a minute and think, how is it possible that armies of 1,000 beat armies of 10,000 28.5% of the time? I want you to really think about that, because it really intrigued me. I wanted to find out why this happened. And what I found out, guys, was when people go into battle, even today, they kind of look at it as, okay, we go into battle A, B, C, D, you know, these ways, and it's that way. Everybody plays by the same rules, and it's, you know, kind of that's the way it is. But the armies that won, that were very small, did something very different. Now, they were at 28.5% of just winning a battle when it was fought with apples and apples and oranges and oranges. You know, when it was all the same, you know, they won 28.5% of the time, which was very incredible. But what's even more incredible is when those smaller armies changed their tactics. They didn't operate as usual. They operated outside of the box. They went from 28.5% wins to 63.3% to winning the battle. Now, you may say, Dave, why is all this important? Why are you going over all these battle strategies? Guys, it's really important, because if you're a small guy, say you own a little store and you're up against Walmart, or you're just getting on eBay or Amazon, and there's so many people out there, so much bigger, with more money and everything, I'm never going to win. See, this is the problem, guys. You cannot have that kind of mentality. I just gave you statistics that are real in this world over the last 200 years, that the underdog has won the battles playing on the same strategic field with the same kind of things 28.5% of the time. And I also told you that when that underdog played with guerrilla type warfare and worked outside of the box and came up with some different things, they increased their percentage to 63.3%. Now, isn't that amazing that you can be an underdog and now tip the scales and you're actually winning these battles? Now, guys, it's the same way in business today. If you're thinking you're an underdog and you want to get caught up in that whole mentality of being an underdog, guess what? You're gonna be an underdog. But you know what? If you want to change your thinking, sit down, come up with a battle plan, be totally different, and understand that, you know what, you're going to come up with things that are outside of the box. You're going to come up with guerrilla warfare. You're going to come up with things that are so different that it's going to put you on top. And that's how those battles are won. Now, I want to bring up one thing. You know, I like to bring up Bible facts from time to time. The story of David and Goliath. Now, I don't care if you're religious or not, or whatever you want to call yourself, because most people know this story. No matter who you are, you know a little guy came up against a big giant. He had a slingshot. The giant had all the latest war technology, armor plating, you know, his mass size. He tormented them for days, day and night, and yet the little guy won. Now, how did David win? You ever think about that? How did David win against a giant who had everything there? He had everything. You know, this guy was 10 feet tall. David was some puny little shepherd boy, and he had not a regular, you know, slingshot. It was one of these things that you had to twirl around and then let it go, and you really had to be good with it. And a good guy, actually, with that slingshot back in the day, could actually hit a flying bird. That's how good these guys were with these slingshots. But anyhow, David was able to stand up against the giant. He was able to stand up of all forces out there in the universe and win with a simple stone that hit the giant between the eyes. This was really the only place that wasn't armor plated on this giant. And his stone actually hit him right here between the eyes. And, you know, one of the things David was using when he was fighting that battle, normally two guys would go out, they would have their swords, they would tap the swords and then fight like in a traditional way. David knew that if he stayed just outside of that giant's reach, that giant couldn't touch him with that sword. So he always stayed just a little bit further than the average guy would, you know, fighting his opponent. And then when he had that rock and the time was right, he whipped it around, slung it out, hit the giant right between the eyes. The giant goes tumbling down, and the army was so afraid of what just went down in front of them, because it's kind of like the election, if you will. Everybody was taunting, you know, Donald Trump can't possibly win, and they were laughing, and all this stuff was going on, but yet he pulled it off, right? It's kind of the same thing that happened back then. It was pretty blatant. And, you know, the whole army was so freaked out when they saw their giant fell that they scattered. They ran. You know what I'm saying? So how does this all play out today, Dave? It plays out because you've got to come up with some guerrilla warfare of your own and know that you can beat the giants in your life. Yes, you can beat the giants in your life. Don't be the underdog, guys. Don't be caught up in thinking, oh, woe-is me or whatever, that you can't do it, but you can do it. And all you have to do is come up with a plan and do something different. If everybody's going this way, you go this way. Do something different that you don't normally do. And that's one of the things we've done at our companies. We've seen the way everybody's working, and what we do is we figure out a very good niche, and we figure out how to get to them faster, and it works, guys. I'm an underdog up against giant people all over the world, giant corporations that have a lot more money than I do, and a lot more knowledge than I do, a lot more manpower than I do, but we don't let that stop us, guys. We get out there and fight just like David did against Goliath, and we win these battles, probably more than 68.3% of the time, too. So anyhow, I'm trying to encourage you today to become a David against your Goliath. Trying to get out there today and do something different, change your world, get inspired, and now I have given you statistics that prove the underdog can win up to 63.3% of the time if you do things different than everybody else is doing it. Okay, that's how you get to where you're going. Why do you think Walmart is on top, guys? Walmart changed the whole setup, the way business is done, the way they they source their materials, the way they make their vendors hold their materials. And Walmart created this giant structure all over the planet because they did it different. And guess what? Buy Gold Circle, buy Toys R Us, buy Sears, buy Kmart, because a little underdog, and yes, we are all underdogs when we start out. Do you think Walmart started out as a global corporation? No, they didn't. They started out one store at a time, and they knew that they're going to operate in guerrilla warfare, and they knew they would take over the market, which they have. Okay? Walmart every 15 miles you can find a Walmart. So anyhow, they understand this principle, and I want you to understand the principle. And we're going to talk more about this kind of stuff a little bit later. I'm going to bring up some more tactics and things that you can do. But I just wanted you to be inspired today to understand that you don't have to be an underdog, that you can win these battles in your life 63.3% of the time or more, depending on what you're going to do with what you've been given. Okay, guys, I hope you had a great time today. Please join my YouTube channel, David Fritz. You can't miss it. You punch in my name, David, F-R-I-T-Z, and you will see me at the top, and we dominate the whole thing. And in a very short time, we've got, 700-800 subscribers, thousands of views. So we're trying to build that channel with great free contact to help you. I'm trying to give back in life. And guys, go out there and enjoy this day, okay? God bless everyone. A hooey ho. Until we meet again, Dave Fritz signing out.